Now, we've been asked to calculate operating, financial and combined leverage for the following firms, N, S and D. We've been given production units, selling price per unit, variable cost per unit, and we're talking about 3 firms. We have to be careful in drawing the table for this. We are going to have particulars. Keep in mind, this is not exactly accounts, so you don't have to worry that you're breaking format like you would do in a journal or a ledger. Flexibility is allowed. We have particulars. We have firm N, S, and D. And I've kept abnormally large spaces between them because, at least for the first few lines, okay, remember we start with sales. From sales we subtract variable cost and we get contribution. For once I'm using full forms, you all must always use full forms. Okay, we get contribution. From this we subtract fixed costs to get earnings before interest and tax. From this we subtract interest and get earnings before tax. And in this particular question, there's nothing else. They haven't given us a tax rate. We need to solve till here only. Alright, and I've kept this N right at the corner. Maybe for neatness, I'm just going to put it slightly in the center. Okay, and now, okay, I guess it can go all the way to here. Please use a scale. And as I said, I'm going to be a little flexible in the format because I'm going to be using the lower portion at least till contribution for a per unit column. Alright, so we have a per unit and an amount column. Again, that amount column goes on all the way till the end. The per unit actually terminates here. Similarly, in the case of S, per unit, okay, and a large amount column. Alright, and if you notice, a lot of this is quite big. Okay, if you want, what we could do is have rupees per unit written here. Okay, and again, a little bit of adjustment for all of these guys. Okay, and we have amount in terms of rupees here. Okay, again rupees per unit here, amount in terms of rupees per unit, and amount in terms of rupees. You'll have the luxury of using a scale. Okay, this is firm N, firm S, firm D. You'll also have the luxury of fast forwarding through all of this. Now, I'm purposely putting units on top and of course avoid eating into the question, but I'm going to put units on top. Alright, so I'm going to go down the line for N first and solve for N, and frankly that will put you all in a position to solve the remaining two. N has 17,500 units. The fixed cost is 4 lakhs, so I'm going to go straight down to fixed cost and I'm going to write 4 lakhs. Then what else have we been told? The interest on loan is 1,25,000. So corresponding to interest, 1,25,000. Anything else? Selling price per unit is 85. So in the per unit column, 85. Variable cost is 38. And I can subtract between these two. On the calculator, I take 85 minus 38 and I end up with 47. Okay, so I end up with 47 over here. And now all these three numbers end up multiplying with 17,500. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to go from the bottom, since I already have 47 written here, into 17,500. Okay, and that's going to give me 8,22,500. So 8,22,500. And now I'm going to repeat the same thing. 17,500 into 85 gives me 14,87,500. 14,87,500. And the same thing, 38 into 17,500 gives me 6,65,000. 6,65,000. Now, I can check if I'm right by taking 14,87,500 and minusing 6,65,000, and I should get 8,22,500, which I am. From which, if we subtract 4 lakhs, okay, I think that's quite clear, we end up with 4,22,500, 4,22,500. And from 4,22,500, we subtract 1,25,000 and we end up with 2,97,500. 2,97,500. With that, I'm done with the income statement for firm N. But keep in mind, this question has not asked for the income statement. These guys want the degree of operating leverage, financial leverage, and combined leverage. So remember, now that we have this, life is easy anyway. Okay, I'm just going to extend this all the way down. So should you all, your degree of operating leverage is equal to contribution divided by EBIT. Degree of financial leverage is equal to EBIT upon EBT. Your degree of combined leverage is equal to your degree of operating leverage into your degree of financial leverage, which is also equal to contribution upon EBT. Well, now that we have all the formula in place, whenever you're solving, stick to this formula rather than this if you want a perfect answer. Even if you do the other one, there'll just be a small point difference. Now, my contribution is 8,22,500 and my earnings before interest and tax is 4,22,500. So divided by 4,22,500. Okay, and I end up with 1.94. This time around, let's take it up to 2 decimal places. So since the third decimal is 5 or more than 5, my answer for DOL is going to be 1.95. As far as DFL is concerned, we have EBIT as 4,22,500. We have EBT as 2,97,500. Okay, so I'm dividing and I get 1.42, and I think we can stick to 1.42. Now keep in mind, I can just multiply these two numbers and get an answer. Right, and let's do it both ways and see what happens. So I can take 1.95 into 1.42 and I get 2.769, which again can round up to 2.77. Okay, so 2.77 if I simply multiply both of these two and end up with this. Alternatively, if I use the formula, alright, so if I use this formula, what happens? We take contribution, which is 8,22,500, and divide it by earnings before tax, which is 2,97,500. And I'm going to get 2.76, and this gets interesting because this is 4, and you would say, okay, fine, it is less than 5, but the one after that is 7, so it depends on how much you want to round up. So 7 rounds up 4 becomes 5, which then rounds up and converts 6 into 7. So great. Either way, you're going to end up at 2.77. Now, the other two firms, I really do not need to solve for you. If you've understood how to do firm N, doing firm N S, firm S and D should just be practice. I'm only going to fill in the blanks. Alright, so we have 6,700 units for S, 31,800 units for D. Are fixed costs. Okay, so fixed cost is 3,50,000 over year and 2,50,000 over year. What else do we need? What else do we have that we can just fill up? Interest, 75,000 and 0. Great. So 75,000 as interest, and over here it is 0. Okay, I'm extending this down because you all are going to be solving for DOL, DFL and DCL. Alright, and now we have the selling price per unit given to us at 130 and 42.50. Similarly, 37 and 12. It's going to be up to you all to subtract to get this. Subtract to get this. Also, all these numbers which you have here is going to end up multiplying with your units. Okay, similarly all of this multiplying with your units and then subtracting downwards to get the answer. If you all have any doubts, feel free to comment. Thank you.